because it was just one of those films where everybody works together. And then I've worked on films where it's totally opposite. Like I worked on a TV series, I'm going to mention it because I don't want to do that, but it was a fucking nightmare, man. Because everybody's ego is so big and everybody's this, and it was just a nightmare. Nobody wants to work like that. Be aware if you're becoming a victim and try to stop it. Part of it, like I know guys who, I know famous actors who hire people and they do all their blogging and all that for them, right? Yeah. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to have the time. And at my age, I'm not really interested in it that much. I like it; it's okay. I don't want to get involved in it. Like you have a finite amount of time in your life. Yeah. You know, I think people aren't aware of that. I think people should be aware of death. Yeah. I think you should be aware every day that when you wake up, you go, "This could be my last day on the planet."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have that awareness, you go, "Well, what do I want to spend my time doing?"
You know, when I was in high school, I realized that because I had this professor that came up and he was giving us philosophy, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And then he one day told us, I don't want to be happy because happiness, it's a brief feeling. So you feel happy for 2, 5, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and then you get hungry and then you get mad. And then there's a lot of things that are going on. He was like, I just want to feel fulfilled all the time. So that if I were to die today or tomorrow, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
So in order for me to do that, I had to figure out my life, kind of, working hard through it. And especially because he has a daughter. So it was like, I had to kind of like create an environment for me to feel content.
Content. Well,
and for my daughter to be fine. And then from there on, I decided, if this is my last day, I'm okay with that.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it sounds like he has kind of a philosophy of life. A lot of people don't have a philosophy. Most people don't have a philosophy of life.
Well, it's usually like, I'll wake up and figure it out.
That's one way of going about it. But sometimes too, you think, well, do you have a goal? Where are you going? What do you want? How are you going to get it? What's your philosophy on life, right? A lot of people, they're just doing what they're told to do, and they're doing what social media tells them to do, and they're doing what the internet tells them to do, and they're doing what maybe their parents told them or whatever. Instead, you can go, okay, I think a lot of the stuff before the internet are still very poignant, like Stoicism, for example. Right. Like they'll say, what do you want? You might go, I want, for instance, they want tranquility. You know, I just, like your friend, I want to be at peace with myself, and I want to be peaceful with people I'm with, and I want to be aware of what's going on around me. Doesn't mean you're not going to have every single emotion on the planet, but if you're always getting angry, for example, always screaming at people, always getting angry, and you're just reacting to everything, you're not really making a choice. You don't have to be angry all the time. You can choose not to be. You can learn how not to be. It will happen, for sure, but then how long do you want it to go on? There's a movie, John Travolta's in it, and my friends and I talk about this, and we like to sit around and chat philosophy. And John Travolta, I can't remember the movie, what's it called? It'll come to me. Anyway, in the movie, she says, "Weren't you afraid?" The girl says to him, "Weren't you afraid?" He says, "Yeah, of course I was afraid." She said, "But you're so cool and calm now." And he goes, "How long do you want me to be afraid for?" He's afraid, and then he's not afraid.
He's not afraid, yeah.
And that's the way to go, isn't it? You don't have to carry these things on and day after day after day after day after day. And, you know, you can, if you have a kind of a philosophy on life of what do you want, you know? It's like being an actor. You want to be famous, you want to be rich, or do you just want to enjoy your life, and this is the thing I like to do while I enjoy my life, right?
Well, don't you think some way in down the line when you start making your career and you kind of lose it?
Yes.
Right? Once you okay, I'm going to make money, and then I'm going to have a wife, I'm going to have kids, and I'm going to have a villa at the side of the beach, and I'm good. But then once you start making the money, and then you're like, no, I'm going to have 5 more houses, I'm going to have 6 houses.
Well, it's always because you can't fulfill that, right?
Yeah. Right.
But if you go, I'm going to be happy doing whatever I'm doing, it's like we're actors, we're all actors. Right. So if you want to be an actor, like I have people a lot in my life go, well, what have you done? That's the first thing. As an actor, you're going along and you go through different stages of your career, just like you go through different stages of your life. And they always say, what have you done? What do you, oh, I saw it. And if they've seen you in something that they like, well, then you've made it. And if you haven't, you haven't. It's like, but it doesn't really matter because that's just their point of view. But people do that to you all the time. What have you done? Right? And by virtue of what I've done, some of the best actors I have ever met, you would never even know their names.
For sure.
And they're really fantastic actors. But the thing I think is if you go on in your life and you find something that you like to do, and you like doing it, and you enjoy doing it, I mean, especially in a country like this, I mean, how much do you need? I mean, if you're going to be an actor because you want to be famous, that's a different thing than I'm just going to be an actor because I like acting. Right?
Do you remember the project where you encounter, like in a specific project where you felt that everybody was a pro? As you said just now, not big names specifically, but like that you felt every single actor is killing it.
Yeah, I've had that when I did a theater school production when I was at Ryerson at theater school. I had that there, and I had it when I worked with Russell Crowe in a movie. Oh. It can be either place. Right. That's the thing is it doesn't if everybody's into it and enjoying it and doing the best work that they can do and really the environment is good for work and it's conducive to good work, you'll have good work if the actors are all designed to do good work.
Do good work.
Do you see what I mean? If everybody wants to, I worked with Russell Crowe and a bunch of guys and really good at Colin Meaney and Burt Reynolds and the list just went on and they were all really good people. And we landed in this project and everybody had fun and we had a great time. And I'm still friends with a lot of those people I met on that film because it was just one of those films where everybody works together. And then I've worked on films where it's totally opposite. Like I worked on a TV series, I'm going to mention it because I don't want to do that, but it was a fucking nightmare, man. Because everybody's ego is so big and everybody's this and it was just a nightmare. Nobody wants to work like that. You want to work with people you like and people who are having fun, right?
I was curious when, so you started working from like, let's just say a day player to major roles, right? And
I've played everything. I've gone from day player to lead to day player to lead to day player. But I mean, the thing about Canada is a funny place to be an actor because the climb is not up. It's all over the place. I mean, you could do 10 shows and then you're at the bottom the next day. Whereas there's no, hey, I saw you in that show, you were terrific, you want to do this?
Do this.
They don't do that.
No.
They go, oh.
And you can't put your own price on the script. Like, let's just say the signing amount, right? Like, you know what? No, I did this, so I'm going to
There's a few people can. Everybody I know who, I don't know. It's, if you don't go down to America and make your mark and do all that kind of thing, they don't really consider you as a successful actor. But I mean, I don't know, what does that mean, a successful actor? I mean, if you make a lot of money and you're a superstar, that's great, I guess. Fans. But then I know I had a friend of mine who was an actor who never left theater. Right. I asked him, and I know he did a movie in the 60s, and it was with Paul Newman. And a big, big movie. And I asked him, I said, why do you go to movies? Yeah. He said, I don't like movies. I like theater. So he just did theater. I mean, won a lot of Tonys and stuff like that. Just did theater. And I was like, great, good for you, man. Yeah. That's awesome. I'm going to go do some movies, but good for you.
Good for you. He's out.
And and I think that thing is that we live in a society of judgment. And I don't think that, and if you're an actor and if you're worried about that, that's going to really weigh heavy on you. Yeah. And I've worried about that. Sure, I've gone through that. I've gone through ups and downs and all kinds of things. And then you got to come to a place you go, what am I doing? But even do I enjoy the work?
You find an arc for your characters because
I love the work of acting. That's why I keep doing it.
I remember when you were talking to us about Snowpiercer, and I wanted to see. Because I remember that you are not on the last season, right?
I am in the last season, actually. Yeah.
But like you didn't.
But my arc went that way. Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole series.
Yeah.
COVID hit. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Why do you think was that? Like.
This is just, again, I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of characters that were in the show that no longer were in the show. There was a character, I don't know, maybe they didn't like what I did. Maybe they did like what I did. I have no idea. The thing about that too is it's like. there's a thing. There's a saying. It's there's things you can control. There's things you kind of can control, and there's things you can't control at all.
Yeah.
And once you go into a show, all you can do is the work. You can do what you do, and they'll make the decisions, right?
Yeah.
And so there, I don't know. I don't know why that happened. Why? I mean, because I was going along good, and then I kind of got
So, Brent, have you faced, let's just say, there are big budget movies, and then there are like low budget movies. So have you faced like, what I should say, let's just say you're a day player, and in the low budget movies you aren't respected that much, but in like the big budget movies, like what happens backstage is like if you're a day player and then there's like Tom Cruise. I'm not saying you gotta sit at the same bench.
There's a big difference.
But there's a big difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you come into a show as a day player, it doesn't really matter how much stuff you've done before. They just treat you like a day player.
Day player.
A lot of times. When you go in as your day player, they'll treat you very well. And other places they'll go, you're just a day player. But it's a funny business, especially here in where we live. I mean, you can be doing a lead in a movie one day, and you can be a day player the next day. That's the thing. That usually doesn't happen to people in America, as I've seen. Anyway, that's just my take. As your career goes, you get a certain amount of respect and different kind of accolades and things as you go along. I know a guy here that he won like I don't know how many genies or Geminis or whatever. Whatever they were called, I don't know. And he was around a long time. He'd won a lot of awards, but he was going out for day player stuff towards the end of his career. Oh. I mean, that in Canada, right? That shouldn't happen, I don't think, but that does happen.
You won Leo Awards.
I won a Leo Award, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I got nominated for a Genie or whatever.
So I just want like a process. So let's just say when you get
I'm
an
not
award.
a big award guy.
I
didn't go to them, and
But how did you find out?
Exactly.
That you were nominee.
Oh, they call you and they say, "Hey, you got nominated for this thing," and da 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 da. And I got for the same. A different time I got nominated for something in Toronto for Gemini or Genie. I don't know. I keep mixing them up. I can't remember.
Gemini.
But I was shooting a movie and I couldn't go. I could have gone, but it was a big deal to go, so I didn't go. But I didn't go to the Leos either, and I don't want to sound like I don't like awards. I just don't like awards. I don't like that stuff.
The one that you got, did you knew prior that you were?
Yeah, I knew I was going to get it.
And so.
Well, I knew I might get it, so I just said to my buddy who was there, who was also nominated, I said, if I don't get it, you go get it. If you don't get it, go get it for me.
No, okay.
So he did. He made some jokes. He says, I got it anyway. So whatever. So because he goes, right. But I don't know.
So funny. It's so interesting how on this industry we have like both sides of the coin, I'd say. Because like I did community theater not so long ago, and it was a shitty situation where I had to transit 2 hours to get to the theater on winter. And then I was a day player on a series. And I was there for 4 hours. And they treat me like a king.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had an assistant following me to the washroom to tell people, can you let him pass first? Can you do this? Yeah, here's your coffee. Let me carry your jacket. And it's so interesting because in that moment I realized, I see how there's people that have been doing this since they were kids and why they lose like the feet on the ground, like that's why.
Sure, I've seen that. Yeah.
And did you ever?
I think it's typical.
Something like that.
Oh, sure. I've done 100 and some shows between movies and films, and then I probably over 200 and some if you include theater and stuff. Like I started in the theater, so I was at Stratford for 3 seasons and stuff like that. I wasn't playing major roles there. I had some good parts. I started out there, and I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, not very often you get to do 500 performances of a show, and it was fun, and I met some great people, and the theater is awesome. And then I was a 4th lead on a series, or 5th, or I don't want to say the wrong number, but they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, whatever. But I was that on a series, and I've worked with some really big shows, and I've worked with some really little shows, so I've covered the gamut, really, The thing about it is it's chemistry, really. You'll go to a show and it's like, It could be a small budget show and everybody's great. You know, and everybody's good. And then you can go to a big budget show and everybody's fantastic. And they treat you like gold. And they treat you like you're a movie star. And they treat you, and they do all that stuff. And then you can go to a middle of the road show and everybody's an asshole. And I don't get it. It's like they all think, it seems like when they're fighting at that stage to go, here I am, this is me, acknowledge me, then they're dicks. But when you work with somebody like Russell Crowe, I'm going to say Russell or Burt Reynolds or Catherine Zeta-Jones, they're sweet as pie and they're nice and they're talking to you. And it's like, I've worked with actors, huge actors who talk to you like, what did you think of this scene? You know, and they talk to you like an actor, right? And then I've worked with other guys who are like some B actor who you saw in the series once for a short time, never see again, who treats you like a minion, like, like, okay, hey, play it this way and do all, and it's like, dude.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, again, too, I don't never do that. I just go, hey, it's your show for whatever it is, you know. Let's do the best job we can do, right? Sure, you know.
Did you ever felt like you were losing the ground? Like, did you get anybody from your family or friends that were there to tell you, hey, Brent, like, come back to earth?
I never got that far gone that I had to come back to earth. But yeah, I suppose I had people tell me at certain parts of my career where it was just going to like maybe go and say, hey, this can happen, this can happen. Okay. Like I worked with a guy who was like huge, almost like probably one of the #1 television guys in the world at the time. And he gave me a lot of good advice on fame and money and what it can go this way, it can go that way. So I worked with guys who had said, who gave me advice on where to go and where not to go on the things. But I never really, I went down to Los Angeles and then I broke my neck.
Oh.
And I was down there for a while. It was, it sounds worse than it was, but well, it was pretty bad. There's a bone in my neck went clack. I'd been doing some martial arts and working out and lifting, and I played a lot of hockey all my life, junior hockey and stuff. And my neck just gave out. It's called, and I came back to Canada because I couldn't afford American. I was still on, health plan here. And so, my doctor had told me that it's just a thing that happens to, if you've done a lot of athletics and stuff, and probably I'd been doing a lot of grappling. So probably, and he said, we're going to have to put a bone graft in there and a titanium plate. They put a plate and a bone graft. It's just called a fusion, right? It's pretty painful. It's not fun. And so I was kind of, before I got it, I was here for 3, 4 months, 5, 6 months, whatever, trying to wait till both my arms, I couldn't lift. Then I went in and got the neck operation. And I just never went back to LA because I got comfortable here, started working a bit here, working in, Also had a bad experience on a television series that
in LA.
No, here in Canada. I'd finished a major feature film, and it looked like things were going good, and then and they were, and I was working all the time, and then I did this television series, and kind of had a nervous breakdown during it because I was in full latex makeup, all this stuff, and I was working really long hours, and I was not getting a lot of. I got time off, but it was like. They'd worked me for way too many hours, and I didn't want to say anything because I was a young actor and I was new, and I burnt out. I had a
Did the same thing happen? Like when I was researching about Brent Stait, and so I got a lot of why Brent Stait quit Andromeda. Was it because of the makeup?
No.
And that's what, because the internet says that because it was too heavy for him, so he just quit.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But that's what the production company puts out.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, that's why I just wanted to.
And I had no reaction to. I had reaction to makeup because they burnt me a couple of times. Like they put pieces on my face that chemicals mixed. I had to go to the doctor for chemical dermatitis, stuff like that.
And did they pay for that or?
No.
Oh,
I mean, pay.
For the medical bills.
For the medical, yeah.
No, it's covered in the thing, right? It's covered in my medical in Canada. It's covered by right? But it's sort of like, you get burns on your face, right? So basically it took so long, I put the makeup on and do these kind of things and stuff, and a lot of tricky dialogue stuff, and it was just it's the way my contract was kind of negotiated, that they'd put me in the suit for long periods of time. Like I would shoot sometimes 7, 8, 9 pages in a day, of all my stuff because of the way my contract was negotiated. So sometimes I'd be in that suit for 12, 14 hours a day, and then I have to drive home, and my skin was coming off in chunks on the sides. And, you know, it was just one day I woke up and I was just, I had to go to my doctor. I was basically having breakdown. I was in breakdown. I later learned a lot about it. There's a wonderful guy named Robert Sapolsky. He's a wonderful writer, and he writes a lot about neurology and how the brain works and stuff. So I read a lot about that. I tried a lot of things after to cope with it. And it was kind of like it triggered a lot of things from my past and my stuff being in the suit. I would be in the suit for a long time. There was no air conditioning in the building.
But
it was
like
100 degrees heat
DC
sometimes.
production, right?
It was, I don't know what it was, to tell you the truth.
Because Smallville is DC. And
well, it wasn't Smallville, it was Andromeda.
Oh,
That was a
sorry,
different
I'm so
thing.
sorry, yeah.
Totally different show.
But
I did
but
Smallville, and that was great.
Yeah, but Andromeda.
But I loved the character, and I loved playing the part. I loved it. They let me do what I was really into reading about Buddhism and different religions and things like that. So I incorporated a lot of stuff. The writers were great. I said, why don't we do this? The beads idea was my idea. I had studied Kung Fu for a while, so I incorporated the bow staff as my weapon.
Did you keep anything as like a memento when you left?
I keep nothing of anything. I've given everything away. I don't keep any of that stuff. I don't. I didn't keep anything from Mystery Alaska. I haven't kept anything from Andromeda. I kept nothing from Stargate. I kept nothing from anything. All the jerseys I got, I give them away. Some I've donated to auctions. I don't keep anything. I don't have much of anything. I really try to. My friends used to bug me about this all the time. I get too much stuff. I give it all away.
You know, I found Andromeda DVD. A Blu-ray.
Oh, did you? A Blu-ray?
And it's signed by Brent.
Oh, where'd you?
And it's on eBay.
That's funny. Did you see my doll?
I have seen your doll. Bro,
Did you see how much is that?
huh? The doll?
Oh, not very much.
Andromeda, that's $100, man. The DVD.
Really?
Yes, that's $100.
$100? Oh, give me it back.
It's like
And I saw the action figure. It's from Stargate. It's from Stargate.
No, Andromeda.
Andromeda.
Yeah. Stargate I was on, and that...
But they do all have an action. It's not your action figure, but it's the character you played. But it has a name of you.
Oh.
It has your name as like a recognition. Yeah.
Is it weird to see a toy with your name?
It's kind of fun, really. Yeah, I kind of liked it. It was kind of neat. Yeah. Again, I had a bunch of those. I gave them all away. I just don't... I never kept anything of that stuff.
But like those shows, those shows are still running. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, do you still get something like royalties? Or
Yeah, you get residual checks every once in a while and stuff like that.
yeah.
Not a ton.
Not a ton.
Because in Canada, they buy you out. It's called a buyout.
Okay.
So then they buy you out, and then, so the residuals aren't that much. Yeah, and all the shows, they start out pretty good and they diminish over the years, right? So, but yeah.
What happened with, now that you mentioned that, what happened with Smallville?
Yeah.
Smallville was fun. I only was just on the arc. I played Dr. Fate on that, right? And that was fun.
It's a great show till now. I look back at it and it's just like, for the technology that they had back then, it's just...
Yeah. It's funny, I didn't get on that show for a long time.
Right.
And then when I got it, I got to work with Michael Shanks and guys like, you know, some really...
How did you get
some
in
really
there?
good... How did I get the part?
Yeah,
I just auditioned and I got the part.
Oh.
Yeah. It was fun. What I really liked about the guy...
She said, I didn't get it so long ago.
Well, I don't know why. I'm not really a CW guy.
Okay.
I don't get called. Like, you know, usually it's all the really good looking people, and it's a certain demographic of young people and stuff. And so,
If I was a girl,
back then.
but I
This would be a
wasn't
different
a
kind of
leading
podcast.
guy. I've always been a character actor, and I play a lot of bad guys and villains and stuff like that. So when I got it, it was, oh, what a great part. And the reason I think I got it too is he's a very character-y guy. Like what I really liked about it is when Dr. Fate takes the helmet off, my guy was,
Right.
he has,
Right.
I wouldn't say schizophrenia, but he's definitely got a split personality thing going on.
the helmet was possessed with something else, right?
Well, the helmet talks to him constantly, so after a while he went mad,
Right.
right? And so that was the fun part. The fun part with Dr. Fate character was I read a lot of comics. I went and got all the comics I could find on Dr. Fate. And one thing I've always loved about comic books, it sounds weird, is that when they draw them, the way they draw their hands. You notice how they do this all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and they do that, and they do this
Like
kind of
Dr.
thing, and they go
Strange.
like that. And
Sure.
so when I was looking at Dr. Fate, I thought his hands are very important. So I started to base the character, the Dr. Fate part of the character, all about his hands and the way he was, and that kind of opened up the character for me. I don't know why, but it was really interesting. And then the other part of the character, who was that guy, he was just he was like, he's broken, and he needs Shanks's character to protect him and take care of him, Hawkman, right?
I saw.
I love that. I love playing that character. It was fun. It's too bad it wasn't more.
Did you see the new the movie of DC? It's
Black Adam?
Black
Black
Adam.
Adam.
No, I haven't seen it yet. Is Dr. Fate's in there?
Yeah.
I know. But I was the first Dr. Fate.
He was the original.
I was the
Dr.
original.
Fate.
I'm the first guy to play Dr. Fate as a live character,
I couldn't
which
help to
I always
compare.
thought was kind of fun. You
I
know?
couldn't help to compare, and I don't know. I mean, DC has been fucking up a little bit with the movies lately.
Yeah.
But I really like your Dr. Fate.
I took my Dr. Fate.
That was original, you know.
Yeah.
I took
it's
my
just a
Dr. Fate very
representation
seriously.
that you get.
I played it like if I played the same way I'd play a character in Shakespeare.
Because I'm sure, like, who played Dr. Fate in in
Black Adam?
Yeah, it's some
Pierce
Morris-
Bronson.
I'm gonna tell you his name.
Pierce Bronson.
Pierce Brosnan, yeah. Pierce
Okay,
Brosnan.
yeah.
So he must have seen small.
I doubt he saw mine.
No,
Come
of course
on.
he didn't.
Come on,
No.
really? You know, because you gotta portray
Yeah,
the character.
sure.
Come on, man.
He's gonna watch mine and go, sure, that's Brent.
No.
But it was
I'm
the
not
one
saying
and
like
only time,
he googled Brent State, but he must have
Yeah.
googled like the first
Dr.
Dr.
Fate, sure, they must have
and
popped
how
up,
he
yeah.
was acted because he's still Dr. Fate, you know.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
If
fun.
he had known better, he
He would have just called, you know.
Yeah,
Well, now you're here.
I'm
people can
sure.
call it-
Yeah, right. To say, let's talk about Dr. Fate. Yeah.
Such a fun character. You're in a lot of like sci-fi.
Yeah, because they did a lot of sci-fi here
Right.
in Vancouver.
Is that your favorite genre, or like are you really like, yeah, that's fun, but
No, it's not. It's fun,
okay.
but no.
You've done some horror works.
I did some horror stuff. Yeah, that's fun. I think I would have liked to have done maybe a little more mobster stuff, more gang
Okay.
stuff. Like if
You
I
were
could have
a-
been in any show, I would have liked to have been in.
Sure.
How about Peaky Blinders?
Oh, see, I love that. That's
see.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah,
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 something like that.
Yeah.
Those kind of shows. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. That'd be great. Yeah,
then
I'd love
I
to do
think
that.
The brother of Tommy Shelby, Arthur.
Arthur. That's
would
probably
have
the
been
way
a
I get
great
cast.
play.
That's
Yeah,
how, when I was a younger guy starting out, I did a lot of that kind of stuff. I did all the shows I did. I was always a villain or a bad guy.
You did
I
Van
loved a lot.
Helsing. You were.
Yeah, I did Val Helsing. That guy was madder than a hatter. And that was fun too. That was fun. And I worked with a director who was Jonathan Scarf, who was a friend of mine. And he let me have a lot of leeway, so.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I always because
I had
this is
so
like
much
my
fun doing that
dream
show.
job. I was talking to Zay. I was like, bro, I really want to work in horror.
Horror's fun.
Or like vampire, or something like that.
I did Blade too. Blade, the TV series.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but not the movie. The TV series.
You did
I
the Tron Legacy. You were the purple.
I did,
purple
yeah.
one, right? I
Yeah.
saw him. I was like,
That was fun too. Yeah. But
bro, the best one, the performance that I liked was the Supernatural series,
Oh, yeah.
where you kill your family.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And you went
A lot of
great.
people like that one.
Because
Yeah.
it's just like
That's good.
It's
It has
out of the character,
dark.
Yeah.
and you were just like crazy in the jail cell, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching that
Yeah.
series since I was a kid.
Oh.
and I finished it before coming to Van Arts. And then you said, I'm in I was like, he's in Supernatural. I watched that. It's 15 seasons. I watched the whole series.
It's a completely
right?
different
Yeah.
persona, man.
Because if I saw someone
I think
from the
there's only
Supernatural, I would
about-
recognize.
I think there's only about 3 actors that have done 3 of them.
Yeah,
who weren't regular guys. on the
Shilton
show,
was
right?
there. I saw
Yeah.
Bruce.
was
I saw
there.
Bruce in the second episode.
Oh, everybody's done it, right?
You were in 7th episode. I was watching it
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
amazing.
did 3 seasons, 3 different seasons. Those guys were super. That's a show.
Yeah.
When you go on, like we talked about earlier, and you go on a show, and they're like, they're stars, and you're coming in, and you're doing your couple of days, or you're doing your 3 days, or you don't see them, or maybe you even did a week.
Right.
Like the first one, I think I did a week or something. But then they know you every time you come in. Those guys, those actors. Hey,
They
Brent,
seem
how you
like
doing?
really nice guys. man.
Really
Sam
nice guys,
and
super
Dean.
guys to work with. A great show to work with. Great cast, great crew.
Yeah.
That's when it's fun. and it should be fun, I think, anyway. You're making art.
I mean,
or
you want to go
whatever
to the set the next
you wanna
day.
call it art.
Right.
Right?
the thing.
Yes, you want to go to work. That's the thing about Andromeda, the cast and crew. I loved going to work.
Right.
I just couldn't go to work. I couldn't go anymore. I mean, I woke up in a closet. I woke up in a closet and I called my agent and said, I can't do this. I would now. I would know what to ask for, but I was a young actor and I didn't know what I could or couldn't ask for.
So what ended up happening for you? Like, did you say, I can know more at the end?
Well, they put this thing on my face, 7 pieces or 11 pieces or something like that.
I saw
all
they
the
were like-
glue, all the stuff.
Yeah.
But also I had a lot of dialogue. I did a lot of things, and I did all my own fighting in the scenes as
Because
well.
you were one of the crew, of course. You were in the lead.
Yeah, I was the 4th or 5th
Yeah.
guy, but I also did all my own fighting,
Your own stunts.
all my own stunts.
In that heavy
Except one where I fell because most of the guys didn't want to put that costume on. We had one stunt guy who'd wear it and stuff, but most of the time they didn't. So and it was heavy duty. You sweat.
Yeah.
I would sweat. I'd drink like 7 bottles of Gatorade a day and never go to the bathroom. One time I'd sweat right through the prosthetic, and right through it. I fainted in the middle of a scene. I caught fire in one scene. My costume got on fire.
How does production handle those scenarios where you faint, you get on fire?
I was fighting a guy in a scene.
Yeah.
Right? I'm doing, and I got to fight a lot of guys. So I'm fighting all these guys, and now I come to the stuntman, and I have to, because I have big claws on my character.
Right.
So I've got him, and he grabs me by the throat. I'm supposed to reach in and rip his heart out or whatever. So he grabbed me by the throat, and he said, my eyes just rolled back. And he held me up. Like I had him by a thing, and he held me up because it was only like a couple of seconds, right? And then I kind of let him go, and he fell down because he's supposed to have his heart, and I kind of wandered off. And he said, holy shit, man, Brent, you fainted right in the scene.
Yeah.
You fainted. He held me up. Things like that, right? I almost fell off a deck one time because I was like, it was so hot and so uncomfortable and so tiring. No heat. I didn't have a trailer. I had a trailer. We all had trailers, right? We all have trailers.
You had a van.
I said, I gave up my trailer because it was too far and too hard to walk and all that stuff to the set. So what they did was they built a little room with a fridge in it full of Gatorade and a little a recliner chair because I couldn't lay down because the headpiece and everything. Couldn't do that. So I had a recliner chair, and Lexa Doig, God bless her, I loved her. She bought me a gift, which was an airline pillow.
Okay.
Really nice one,
Yeah.
actually. And I could put it behind the head, and it would hold the prosthetic up. And I could rest.
Look at that.
I couldn't eat craft service because I couldn't eat anything. On set all day long, people, like when you work, people touch you up all the time. You're always being touched up. That's part of the gig, right? But when you're doing one of those characters, it's nonstop. You don't get any time to yourself. So I just stand there and try to run my lines in my head and stuff like that before the scene, and prosthetic this and right? Oh, don't eat anything because you messed the prosthetics.
So you didn't have lunch?
I had lunch. That's when I could do it. But I go in and I'd eat
Yeah, it's just like, don't touch the makeup.
Yeah, I
man.
try to
It's
eat
like-
around the makeup. Right? You got to split it too bad, or you're in there for 2 more hours, right?
Like, have you done some work like that in modern
Yes,
times
I did.
Right now? And have it
I
changed?
played a Wraith on Stargate, and they were really good. But I mean, the Wraith makeup not that much. They took as long to put the Wraith makeup on as well, not as long, but they were pretty careful and stuff. And,
But were they
But so were
more
my makeup guys.
respectable?
They work it in the budget, right? I mean, I got to say, my makeup guy was good. I had a problem at first with somebody, and I said, she's not touching my face again.
How come? What happened?
She burned me really badly. Burned me. There was a process where they took I had a forehead piece,
Sure.
and she thought, oh, I'll save time tomorrow and save this piece. But when you take it off, you use a chemical to take it off. Then you use a glue to put it on. So she took this piece that had been soaked in this chemical, put on my forehead, glued it on, and I had 2 chemicals
Right.
reacting.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there on set, I was going, this is hot. This is burning me. It's not right. It doesn't feel right. I said, you got to take it off right now. She says, okay. I said, no, now. And I ripped it off. I ripped the makeup off, and that's quite a process to put on.
Sure.
But I ripped it off, and my face had bubbled. I had bubbles,
Oh.
skin bubbles. It's like someone put a cigarette out on my
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah.
My face was bubbling and burning, and I had to go to the hospital. So I went to do a shoot. We did. I think I told you this. We shot only on location one time.
Okay.
So they send me out to this place. I have to be there at 3 in the morning, or 4 in the morning. So I have to drive.
That's the one of the Sasquatch.
Yeah, so I have to drive all the way out to the place. We're in a tiny little place, a little trailer, hardly anything there. And then it's 3 in the morning. Then I'm going to shoot all day, and I have to come back the next day, right? So the production doesn't put me in a hotel or anything.
Oh.
No, which they should have. Any other production.
Yeah, they
would.
should, yeah.
They should.
Right.
So I work all day long in this prosthetics. When I get up, it takes a while to get off.
Yeah.
So that's time too. Then I'm supposed to drive all the way back to Vancouver for an hour and a bit, get 2 hours sleep, and drive all the way back
And start again.
and start again for the makeup.
And do
And not drive off the road and not kill myself.
they pay for like at least gas or something?
Nothing.
Nothing.
They're staying for nothing. So I paid my own hotel and I thought, I'm going to die if I go. If I try to drive home, like when I used to leave set, even after Andromeda, after like long hours, I'd put like that cold cream on my face.
Yeah.
On my face, cold cream, white face, get in my car. By the time I hit the highway, it is absorbed into my skin. I drive home, have something to eat, go to get up, So I don't want to diss the production, but I was not very well taken care of is the thing. That's why I crashed. And
we're
then
not
they
taking
said,
the
hey,
production
then
name,
at the end they said, when I no longer could work, they said, what can we do to help you? I said, it's too late.
It's too late.
My brain, if you know anything about the brain, and I've learned a lot about the brain since, it was like the way I was working, and I'm not just blaming them, it's also my process, I guess the way I work, right? Sure. Maybe I take it too seriously, I don't know. It's like taking a cup of water and pouring water into it, and when it's full, it just keeps it's overflowing. Right. You can't retain anything anymore, and you crack up. Your brain goes shut down, and you shut down, and there's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't mean, and I thought, oh, I'm a pussy, I'm weak, I can't do it. It's not that at all. I mean, I grew up in northern Manitoba, so you're supposed to suck it all up, and maybe that was a problem. Maybe I sucked it up too long, and I should have said something. I should have said, hey, you know what? This whole makeup is killing me.
It was more like you were just a zombie.
Plus, it was new, so we were like, we used to do this thing where I'd come in the morning. I would sweat so badly in the thing, I was running through the mask. So we'd come in and we tried a bandana, that was a joke, just didn't hold anything. Then we tried like a towel thing, and then somebody came up with the idea of Kotex pads.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Because they're very absorbent. Sure. And at my first piece, my face was a lot of pieces, so it's a lot of glue because they wanted my face to move. And then I got a big skull piece. So they put the thing, and I'd come in, and it was a joke. I'd say, is this how much dialogue, depending how much dialogue, how many scenes I had, it would be this is a 2-pad day or a 1-pad day? Right? Oh, definitely a 2-pad day. So we put 2 Tampax on my head, or 2 Kotex pads, right? And that's what we used to absorb the water. I always thought I should do a Kotex commercial. On a heavy flow day, heavy scene day, I wear 2 Kotex. But if you can absorb this, you can absorb anything.
Now that you mentioned that, I had a question. Don't you think, compared to the 80s, the 70s, and this 20th century, the comedy is declining?
Oh.
You can't. There is no comedy anymore.
The Tampax quality. I
couldn't do that.
You can't do that now.
Oh God, no! I'd be making some horrible affront to women or something.
And you'll be which
would be ludicrous.
You'll be removed from the industry. You'll be cancelled.
You can't do anything anymore.
You think?
You can't do.
No, not for the Tampax.
You can't hardly say anything.
Let's just say you do it twice.
You have to be
cancelled from some shows.
You have to be very careful about. It's politics, man. You have to be very careful what you say, what you do, how you approach people, how you affront people, what you say. I mean,
because of the LGBT.
And you know what? Okay. Some of it's very good, and some of it's very bad. So it's like anything in life. If you go all this way, it's going to be crap. If you go all this way, it's going to be crap. It's got to be a balance. And that's what I find is there's no balance.
I mean, okay, back then.
Balance is,
You could have done that with the pads. Cool.
We did. That's what we used it. Yep.
Now not anymore, maybe. But also back then, I mean, I don't know how it was here in Canada, but for some stories that we've heard, I know that in the States, it was very much like an open bar for drugs at some point.
Coke.
Coke and shenanigans on set.
In the 80s.
Right?
Yeah, but not in the 80s. It was like that. Sure. Yeah, it was like that.
Encounter something like that it was.
Like, you know, maybe like hey, let me like, you
Come
know,
on.
like after shoot parties in movie, after shoot parties, and you know.
Yeah, of course. There's
Yeah.
lots of coke.
So what
I did.
was it like, you know, like bartenders, like here's a shot and here's like a line of coke?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like sometimes you'd tip a guy with coke.
Okay.
You go in the bathroom in the 80s and the thing, and somebody, hey, you want to do a line? It was all that all the time.
All the time.
Sure, I never did coke when I was working.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like I would never do it after, but sometimes. But when I was in the 80s, you kidding me? I was like 20 something years old, and they'd go rap, and we'd be in the room, 5 of us going slap the coke. There'd be coke everywhere. We do.
If you're giving it away like Gatorade,
and then we go to the bar. And then we go to the bar and we do coke there.
Do you remember when was the first time
I have a lot of
tried?
students. Well, you guys are students of mine. And I always tell my students too, I said, look it, man, it is a slippery slope. Don't do that shit. I know actors, especially when I was coming like in the 80s, early 80s. I went to theater school in like 70s, 79. And when I came out into the 80s too, but the coke there was no fentanyl. I never heard of fentanyl. It was pretty pure stuff. Like it was really good stuff.
It was coming right off Colombia that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you do it, and you didn't feel shitty the next day, and you didn't feel anything like that. But yeah, I would go and yeah, of course, we all. I mean, I guess there were actors who weren't doing coke at that time in the 80s, and I had a problem with the drugs. I always tell my students, it's a slippery slope, man. You think you won't have it, it grabs you like quick. I went home, I got so into my career was not faltering. I wasn't getting arrested. I wasn't having anything like that.
Plus,
but I was an addict. I was having a problem. I was once. Somebody had told me, "Don't ever shoot it," and I believed that. And I thank God I didn't, because that's really hard to get over.
And I'm sure, like with the amount of money that you were making,
Of course, you're making money. You're spending it. You're a young guy. You want to party, right? It's all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll when you're young, isn't it? I mean, it still is today, right? It's that's the fun part. You're 20-some years old. What are you going to do? You're going to go out. What do you want? You meet girls?
Yeah.
You want to, you want to be cool. You want to meet girls. You're an actor. You're walking, doing your stuff. You know.
You pull out a bag of pot or coke, and
Yeah, I didn't smoke pot. I couldn't do that stuff. But I always, I would start having some coke, and then it got a little bit. I got into trouble with it.
Because pot.
Because
You told us there was you got into like a fight with your sister, was it?
not me. I was at a guy's. That wasn't me.
Okay.
I was at a friend of mine's place, and we were partying pretty hard.
Yeah.
She was dealing,
Yeah.
and her brother had a lot of coke, and he had asked her to hide it for her, for him, and he came over really, really late in the night and begged her for it, and. I mentioned that story because it was I'd never seen anybody go as hard after an objective as that guy.
Right. That was
That was it. And I never seen a guy go after an objective. It's like what drugs will make you do is insane. Yeah. They're nasty. I was lucky. I was very, very lucky that I had I called my mom in northern Manitoba and said, look, I got to come home for a visit.
Yeah.
And so I went home, and I had done, things were getting a little loopy. And so I went home, and it was just kind of a small town and everything, and I went to see my doctor because I was itching really badly and cutting myself almost with scratching so hard I was bleeding and itchy and crazy. I was crazy. I couldn't sleep. Oh, kind of crazy thing. I shaved my legs with a razor blade because I thought I had lice. Yes. So I went to the doctor.
Because I remember he was telling Kevin how to do his scene.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
And the doctor told me, he said, what do you, did you,
full of fright.
what do you do? Yeah, I was trying to explain, but it's hard to explain. You can't unless you've been there. Yeah. And then my doctor said, what are you trying to quit? And I said, I do a little coke sometimes. And he said, you're an addict. You're you're in really serious withdrawal. That's why you're doing all this crazy stuff, right? I said, really? He said, yeah. And then he said, it can get you after the first time. And it did me. Mm-hmm. Sure. Because, I really liked it. I had ADHD really bad as a kid, and as soon as I
Yeah.
did coke, I was like, "Whoa, this is the best shit ever."
Helps you
but
focus
it
more.
didn't. And so when I went home
I don't do it.
my mom was the best. My mom was she was the best. You know, she said, you know, well, okay,
Yeah.
How long were you?
stop doing it.
I mean, but like she
So
was
I did.
really
I
nice
stopped
to
doing it.
accept it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
well, she was great because she said, "Hang out as long as you want, and when you feel better, go back to work." And so I did, and I got over it, and I never did it again. So
How long were you on and off doing?
the
coke?
dr-
It was mostly during your like prime filming
well,
career.
only a couple of years of that. Like
Okay.
it took me maybe not even a couple of years. And I had another good friend of mine too, who was we had another friend who got really into it and ruined her life, and in some ways, her ruining her life saved our lives. I hate to say that in one way. There's there's just the silver lining is that we went. I can't go there. I can't do that.
I remember one of my
But
friends.
some people don't have that.
No, they
some people
don't.
don't have that to say, hey, you know, you're going down a slippery slope here, buddy. You better pull back. I was lucky, and I had a place to go with some of these people I see on the street now. If someone had come up to me and said, hey, best thing for you, man, I'm going to give you a bunch of free drugs and come over here, I'd have been done. I'd have been toast. It'd been over for me. I had never been the same. And I've seen I had a friend like that. He's dead.
I think
And he had nobody to go, hey, come over here and get clean.
It's also more like your objective for life. You
Yeah,
know, because
yeah.
like
Well, it takes over. It becomes that.
if you really want something, you know, and like maybe,
Sure, it takes over.
but like your willpower just like it just kind of declines.
There's no such thing as willpower when it comes to dopamine.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like it declines, and once you're like and you kind of like start making excuses to yourself.
Dude, it's
That's
hard
okay.
enough to not eat ice cream sometime when you're trying to go on a diet.
Yeah,
Try doing
exactly.
something like
it's like
Coke.
I'll have it one time.
I can't imagine. I've never done fentanyl or heroin or those things, but I can't imagine what those things do to your body.
Well, I recently
Or to your mind.
I heard from my family. I didn't know this because I'm not in touch so much with my family in Mexico. Sorry, but one of my cousins just went to jail, and he got a baby 2-3 years ago, and it was because of drug abuse. You know, and it was like the guy was living in the States. He was a citizen over there, and then he went back to Mexico, and he just got fucked over. And it's like
Their drugs are hard, man. I mean, it's easy to say, hey, just quit, but it's not that easy. And it's harder. I really believe it's harder if you enable people to do it.
yeah.
The more you enable them, the more they're going to do it. No, very few. When you want to quit something, you need somebody there to go, hey, come over here. Let's get you sorted out first, right?
Say, like at some point it gets to that level. It's like it's so important. The drugs is like if I say quit acting,
It's everything.
right? If
You'll
I say,
rob your mother.
Yeah, it was like,
honestly,
Brent,
you'll do all kinds of shit, right?
I was like,
You'll
Brent,
crazy.
quit your acting. He was like, no.
No.
It's
See,
just
I
like-
knew I was
yeah.
on a precipice of that. I knew. I'm not going to tell you where I was, but I was in a situation, and I looked over at the person I was with, and I said, I'm afraid I'm an addict. And she said, that will pass. And her saying that will pass, I knew she was right. I knew if it passes, I'm toast.
Yeah.
And I was a young guy, and I thank God I had the sensibility to go, I got to get out of here. And I did. I got up at that moment in the middle of the night, and I went out, and I wasn't that day. I went and I booked a ticket, and I went home.
Is that person?
And I stayed to my mom. I don't know where that person is. I don't know if that person's
hopefully you're
alive today. I hope she is.
Hopefully,
But I don't
you're
know.
seeing, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I hope she is. I mean,
No, but I've
she'd
seen
be
so many.
old-
I'll tell
old,
you
but-
in my I won't say state, but some cities in my India.
Sure.
Drugs are so high that kids. There was this wrestler in India
Right.
who was big, who was making like $100,000 a fight,
Wow.
and he's good.
Okay.
But then he got into coke, and now he has even like he built a really big mansion.
Yeah.
He even he took a piece of glass and sold it. You enter his house, you won't even find windows.
Yeah.
He took the windows out and sold it for crap.
Yeah, drugs can do that to you.
You know?
I mean,
Okay.
it's hardcore.
Yeah, there are no windows, man. It's open because he sold it for crap.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, that's a hard one too.
Yeah.
There's a part of your brain that gets triggered, and there's the dopamine response, the dopamine, dopaminergic pathway, all that kind of thing that gets open, and it's that desire that gets that's very hard to shut down, and it can happen to you on the first go sometimes, So and if and the thing is, when you're doing I was having a good life. I got into drugs having a good time.
Yeah.
I didn't get into drugs because I was abused and all that kind of stuff. I got into, I had, my father was an alcoholic and I grew up with some stuff like that. And I mean, that's life. I mean, most of the people, half of my friends came from the same place as I did. So, we had abusive alcoholic fathers, but we weren't we didn't know any different. We didn't think it was a bad thing or a good thing or any kind of thing. We were like, that's the way it is. Yeah, so I wasn't, trying to escape my past of my alcoholic abusive father. I wasn't really. I was just I was just doing coke because it was cool and you get the girls, right?
I mean,
that's was mostly what I was into.
I mean, you're shooting a series from a DC universe.
Yeah.
You're shooting a series. Let's just say I'm shooting a series from DC, and I'm balling. Sure.
Yeah.
You've been balling in your 20s.
Sure, you're having fun. That's what it is.
You're in the industry. You're getting some paychecks, and you got some hard.
Well, that's the thing too. Is you go to theater school, you work. Like I started out. When I went to theater school, I started my first job working at a theater, a drive-in theater, picking the garbage up off the ramps and after school and handing out the speakers at night and cleaning the floors and carrying the shit buckets out to the thing and and then I worked in the movie theater in the wintertime in town. It's probably why I became an actor. I just watched movies all the time. And then I got a job cutting bush with a scythe and a chainsaw. And then I worked in a sawmill. And then I worked on a railroad.
You also worked in a mine,
I worked in a mine and I worked in a smelter because I had to put myself, I wanted to go to theater school and I was paying for it.
And then, you're on the set.
But you know what? It was great. I think about it now. I think about those things now. I pounded bikes on a railroad and jack tracked and lived in a sidecar out in the bush with me and a bunch of native guys,
So, when you get a turn, you want to party.
Well, I wanted to, I wanted, it was fun. I was doing all those jobs so I could go to theater school and, and when I got out there, it was fun. I was having fun.
So did you guys, did you ever use, let's just say you meet a really pretty girl in the bar or somewhere, Did you ever I'm doing this, this show from DC. Actually.
No, I never really worked it like that. No. I usually waited no, they would usually.
Washington?
No, people always ask you what you do. I mean, that's the thing. Now I lie sometimes. I used to be at the time when I was a younger guy and stuff. They go, I'm an actor. And what do you do? Now I'm doing this. That's how you go. But now people say, what do you do? I go, I'm in the entertainment business. I don't even say actor anymore because I don't want to talk about it most of the time.
The questions increases. The number of questions,
Yeah, and then the second question is, what have you done? And then it's like, geez, I don't know they don't. And this is a funny world now.
But
it's
for
like
you can say, just Google me.
That's what I do actually, because I just go IMDb, but because everybody's on IMDb.
No, but
right?
you're on Wikipedia too.
But
you're in everything.
I'm 65 years old, so nobody cares about me anymore.
But hey, does he look like 65 years old?
No, I don't. But
my dad's 55 and he's already been so many under 3 surgeries.
Yeah, no, I'm really lucky. Well, I've had a lot of surgeries, but not those kind of surgeries, like broken bone surgeries and stuff like that from, hockey and stuff like that. Most of my surgeries I had a lot of surgeries when I was a little kid, when I was first born, like when I was 9 and 7 and all kind of things. I was in the hospital a lot.
What about your love life in middle school?
Ooh.
What's middle school? That's an English.
Middle school is like, that's like a grade 6th to 10th.
Sure. Oh,
grade 6 to 10th.
my love life in that?
Yeah, I mean, your first girlfriend.
It was pretty good.
Your first crush?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Jeez, that's a long time ago, man. I moved around a lot. Like, I grew up in a small town, and then my mom left my father, so I moved to another town, and I lived there for a couple of years, and that was fun. And I played hockey there, and then I went to play hockey in Saskatchewan and Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and I stayed there for a year, played for a couple of teams, and then went back to to my other town, Flin Flon, Manitoba. So I moved around a lot already.
But like
And we'd
sportsmen
move-
are big in high school and middle school, right?
Yeah, I was playing hockey and
You were popular as well.
Yeah,
in school.
popular.
yeah, because hockey was the thing that you
Yeah.
did, right? And then
you
I
were
went and
good?
played junior hockey. Yeah, I was pretty
If you
good.
played junior hockey,
I played
okay.
junior hockey, some junior
I
A.
don't know about hockey, man.
I had a-
It's a level.
For
It's a
me,
I don't think
soccer
I was
and
ever.
football
I don't think I was ever as good in junior hockey as I could have been.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I moved away like I was 16 and I went away and I didn't really.
Yeah, you were just not lying.
Well, I didn't have really a lot of backup. Like
Yeah.
there was no one there. They didn't. It wasn't like your parents came. Like no, it was like 1970. Shit, six or seven. So I was 16. I got on a bus. I drove the 200 or 300 miles to the bus station. Some guy I don't never met in my life in 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, picked me up, took me to my billets.
Yeah.
I got up. I went checked into a school. I went to hockey camp. I went to hockey that day with a bunch of guys I didn't know, and then I worked, and stuff like that. So. I really was kind of alone. I mean, it sounded like a sob story. I did all right, but I was pretty much alone there, and I suppose I could have done better. Like now, there's so much support. My mom came and watched some games, but it was pretty far, so they didn't really
So
come.
if you
and my
weren't an
dad, I
actor-
had no support from my father at all. So
If you weren't an actor, you would have been somewhere in sports.
no, I was okay. I was a pretty good player, but I was never good enough to make pro. I was too small for one thing. I mean, I played in Swift Current. I actually got knocked out of the rink into the stands. I got hit so hard. I was so light. I was pretty fast and I had some good.
That's
I
where they
had
come
good
from.
hands,
Right.
but I was never going to play. My brother was really good. He was a really good player,
Oh, yeah?
but he got injured. Broke his ankle and stuff like that. But yeah, no, hockey wasn't going to be that for me. Although if I hadn't have gone to be an actor, I probably would have gone into something like something in coaching or some sort of sports thing. Yeah, probably.
Okay, right.
I probably got to university for something physical.
Physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physio or one of those things.
Physiotherapy and-
One of those things,
yeah,
probably.
Physical
Yeah.
education.
So
But-
we started this one with your love life. With
Oh, my love life. Yeah, my love life was fine in high school. Maybe a little too fine. I don't know. Yeah, I was. I was.
your love.
I was about a.
No.
I was really cocky kid. Like I was really kind of cocky and arrogant in a way that I was always,
I mean, it's good in a way if you can prove it,
Yeah. I mean, I drove a hot car and shit like that.
Sure.
I mean, your dad had a Thunderbird, right?
Yeah. Well,
so-
later. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, it was good. I think when you play in a sports team in high school, that's kind of elite sports team.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like I was always on the All-Star team. They call it. It's all different now. They call it different names and stuff. AAA, whatever they call it. We just called it the All-Star team. It's like you played in house league, and all the guys who were good in house league played on the All-Star team. And the All-Star team was the team that went around and played other cities or towns, right? Like that kind of thing. Like we went to the Manitoba Championships a couple times, stuff like that, over the course of the years and things like that. So I was always on the elite team,
Well, that's a good team.
and it was fun. And but I had a really nice girlfriend in high school. I ran into her years later. Yeah, she was really. It was funny because actually, I don't know what made me want to be an actor. There's no actors in my family. There's no actors where I'm from. There was no actors at all. Nobody had ever gone into acting. There's a couple of guys now who are doing very well from my town
Okay.
now, but not when I started.
But you started the trend.
I was the only one.
Yeah.
There was no internet. There was none of that stuff. I had to figure it out for myself. And I thought, I want to be an actor. And my girlfriend at the time said, what? You want to be a what? I was always joking and doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I said, yeah, I want to be an actor. She said, well, you should then. I said, really? She said, yeah, go do it. You could do it. And so she was really encouraging.
Okay.
Shirley, her name was. And she later became a nurse and a research scientist. So she was pretty bright. And I really liked her. She was great. And we went to prom together and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And we looked crazy. I had like a baby blue suit on, tux with a blue baby velvet tie. It was crazy. She looked really pretty. We did our thing. I had long blonde hair, and shit. It was the 70s, right? So, yeah, and she was very encouraging. And so then I went off and for some, I don't know how, maybe fortune, I had a teacher in Flin Flon, Manitoba, who was from England, and they had come there years ago, and she had been a drama teacher in England. I never took drama in theater school. I was a hockey player, man. It was not cool. So my mom knew her because my dad fixed their cars. So mom said, why don't you call her up? So I called her up, and I had these 2 auditions. I didn't know what an audition was. I didn't any of that stuff. So I went to her and I talked to her, and she said, okay, you got to get this and this, get a classical piece and then, prose piece, and you work them up. So I worked them up, and my buddy, we were in high school. Oh no, we just finished high school. Right. And that's when I decided. I'd finished working in the mines, and I thought, I want to go somewhere. So I was auditioning for Banff School of Fine Arts and a couple other theater schools and stuff. And my buddy, who had also graduated from high school, was running his father's grocery store. And in those days, it was the butcher section had a lit display for the meat, and it had a light in it, right? Yeah. So I would go stand in the aisle between in the canned goods and stuff, backlit from the butcher meat section, and my buddy would sit where the till was, which was just kind of like a counter. He'd sit on the counter, and I'd do my work, I'd do my pieces, and he'd say, okay, do it like this, or we didn't know anything, we didn't know shit, and I'd go, okay, and he'd do it like that. And so then for some reason, I don't know how it happened, I got into Banff School of Fine Arts. I met a guy there who I happened to be the head of Ryerson, who I was doing a play with. I got chatting with him. He said, hey, I want to go to Ryerson. I said, yeah, and I'm going to theater school in Ryerson. And then after that, I went and did Stratford.
So let's just say, when you published
your
your first show, so did back in town, did people get to know about it? And
yeah, the very first show I did was a kind of a splash there. I did a show called Night Heat. And it was my first TV show. I'd done theater. I went to Stratford right after theater school, and I did Shakespeare for 3 years there. Mostly I was an apprentice, and I got parts as I went along and stuff like that. I worked with some great people. I learned a lot about being on stage every night, twice a day, for months and months and months. And then we went on tour, which was really fun because Stratford had only been on tour once before in the history of Stratford, and I got to go on the second one. And I kind of got to be like the Batman of 2 older guys. And they were like older guys, Teddy Atienza and Butch Blake. They had been like in the war together. And they had stories about every single actor in the world. And it was the most enlightening experience I've ever had. It was one of the best experiences of my life as an actor. Going on tour with all these guys, doing Shakespeare, King Lear and Twelfth Night, and then being able to kind of help Teddy and Butch along. I was kind of like, I'd get their luggage on the thing, I'd make sure they had their tickets on the thing, get them on a plane first. One time they wanted to drive in Florida, so we got lost in the Keys or wherever we were driving around. Yeah. They knew everybody. They knew everybody. I mean, Teddy had done Feste with Olivier and knew Vivian Lee, and Butch knew Peter O'Toole, and the list went on, and the stories were fantastic. One of the best things about being a young actor is the old actors telling you stories. I still think that's some of the best part about being an actor, man. Yeah. I worked with George C. Scott, and he told me stories. And I just got lucky one day. He was having a hard time walking, and I was working on a show with him. They said, would you want to walk George's lines for him, his text? And then, so I got chatting with him, and I got to spend a day with him, hanging out and running his lines, walking his stuff, doing his blocking. Like that for me is some of the best part of my whole career. Right. Is just meeting people in the business and chatting with them and talking with them and meeting neat people and stuff like that.
It's so crazy how everybody has like their story. Like back then, you were doing that, and it was like an eye-opening moment for you, and you were like enjoying this. You had no clue that years later you were gonna be talking or teaching classes.
Or you're going to be on our
You don't
show.
know where you're going to go. You don't know where you're going to go. That's the funny thing is people say they make a plan for life. I always find that amusing. How do you make a plan for something, right? I remember one time when I was in theater school and I was at a pub. And of course I was like macking on some girl, right? She was cute. And we were talking, I think she was taking some kind of sociology or something, I don't know.
Sociology.
Yeah, so she was going to be a social worker or whatever. And we were talking, and I was just like hitting on her, right? And she says, well, what are you taking? And I said, I'm in the drama department. And she was like, drama? there's no future in drama. She said, I said, yeah, there is. She says, what if you don't make it? I said, what do you mean, don't make it? I'm going to make it.
I hope you're watching right now.
She said, you're not going to make it. What if you don't make it? I said, what do you mean? What if I don't make it? I'll make it. There's no question I'll make it. But then I didn't know what that meant, right? I thought, well, if I'm going to be like, I don't know, I guess if I'm going to be Marlon Brando, I didn't make it. Right. If I'm going to be a guy who makes his living and has had a great time and enjoyed my life, and I'm still working, I'm still doing my stuff, I'm still learning, I'm teaching some great people, I guess, so I don't know what that means. People have a different idea what making it is. I think
it's where you're satisfied.
I think that's what it is. I think as I live my life, and like I said, I just turned 65 last week, and that's kind of a weird age because you start thinking about different things, right? You think, so where are you going? It's like you're not really going anywhere. You're just going you're just doing what you do, and if you like it, you like it.
So do you think about retirement?
Never. No. What the hell for? I don't have that job. Yeah. I go, if I go on and I do one scene in a movie, right? Yeah. That's a fun day for me. Sure. If I do the lead in a movie, that's a fun day. That's fun 2 months for me. Whatever. It doesn't really matter to me.
You just enjoy being in front of the camera.
I like being in front of the camera. Yeah. I love working on the parts. Yeah. I love the psychology of the characters. I like what characters do. I like trying to figure out what a person does. I like all that stuff.
You're very good with the breakdowns, man.
I love the techniques. I love text analysis. I love all that stuff. I love being an actor. Yeah. I don't really I can't say I don't like the business. I do like the business. But the funny thing about the business is there's levels of the business. There's the business you see like when you watch Entertainment Tonight. Yeah. That's not the business to me. Yeah. That's actors trying to get a plug in. Right. None of that shit to me is real. I go, that's not being an actor. Mm-hmm. I've watched scenes in class that blew my mind. I've been to plays that were not that good, but I've seen an actor that was crazy good. And then I've gone to watch really fantastic big actors be fantastic. When I was 18, I was in theater school, we went on a trip to New York. And I went to New York and we watched plays. Mostly what we did was plays. And I went to a play. And it was Amadeus. Mm-hmm. And Ian McKellen was playing Salieri and Tim Curry was playing Mozart. Mm. And I had a pad. I was watching the show and my buddy next to grabbed my pad and said, watch the fucking show and stop taking notes. And I was like, they're so good. He said, just watch the show and stop taking notes. So I just watched the show and I was blown away. And everybody was like, Ian McKellen was fantastic. But Mozart just was alive for me. Like Tim Curry, I was like, wow, what an actor. Such a performance. And years later, I'm sitting on set. I'm being kind of voice coach for Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I have a small part in this movie, not movie, it was a miniseries, and Catherine Zeta-Jones was in it, and they had asked me would I work with her on her accent and run dialogue with her and stuff, which was fantastic, by the way. She'd just come from England, and Tim Curry was playing a part on it, and he was in a chair, and I was there, and we were sitting around, and I said, Tim, I got to tell you, I went to see you on Broadway. I saw your Mozart, and it was fantastic. And he's like, oh, you saw that? I said, yeah, I saw it. Then he started telling me stories about it. And then he started telling me stories about the directors. And then we started laughing. And here I am, all these years later, having gone to theater school, watching Tim, and now I'm on a movie with the guy, and he's telling me all these stories. Do you know what I mean? Wow. That's what's great about this business. That's for me anyway. I loved it.
It's the journey, I would say.
And it's the fun. It's the journey. It's the fun. It has its ups and downs. Like it has its downs. Believe me, you could crash.
Even in Van Arts, when I meet new actors, new photographers, I'm just like really interested in knowing the story. Right.
Sure.
Like we have so many voice actors that voice coaches. Sure. And the guy who taught us singing. Like how did you get into this profession? Maybe he would have Billy.
Sure. And it's fun too when you're working with people or watching people and then watching them take off. Like if someone takes off, it's great. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's really fun to watch young actors that you've worked with or stuff, all of a sudden they go. They're like, shoo.
I've told all my friends that whoever gets famous first could buy a Ferrari to the other friend. So I'm waiting for one of them. Hey, hopefully, man.
Where's your Ferrari? Yeah.
It's like what you said about like people, when you get somebody that it's a huge actor or a lead or something, you see why they are there, because they are good people.
Yeah.
I met on set Bob Odenkirk, and God, he was such a lovely guy. It's like
Most of the actors I know, I mean, 90% of the actors I've met are pretty darn good. I've met some assholes, but not that many.
Yeah.
Not that many. A few, but not that many. Yeah. I've had a few run-ins with some guys, but not too many.
But
I've had directors who have hated me.
Okay.
Like wish they hadn't hired me, but that's pretty rare. And I had one that was, I did an episode, a double episode, which is 2 directors, which is never almost that much fun. And one director really liked me, and that other director hated me. And it's no fun working with a director who hates you. You know what I mean? Because there's all this kind of politics and stuff.
Have you had any?
But as you get older too, you don't give a shit as much.
Fans interactions, like, you know, walking down the street and some
Yeah,
fans.
I had a guy.
You.
I had
Fans.
when I was like when I first got out there and was in the 90s, before I did Andromeda and stuff. Well, Andromeda, nobody recognized me anyway.
It's because of the makeup, yeah.
Nobody, not even cast, not even crew. Cast knew me, but the crew did. Some of the crew would see me after they didn't know who I was. I talked to them
like,
all day long.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I talked to them all day long. They didn't know who I was.
Wow.
If they can't, you know.
yeah,
But
But
the ones who were there regularly did.
Yeah.
Of course,
Because of
they'd see me.
Andromeda, Stargate, Tron, did you went to like Comic-Con, let's just say?
I haven't been to Comic-Con. I've been to a bunch of other ones, but I've never been
But
to
like
Comic-Con.
they had festivals for these movies, right?
Yeah.
that was just not.
I just never got asked to go there. I don't know why. I mean, I've done so much sci-fi and never went to Comic-Con. I mean, I've done just a ton of sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yeah. So I was just wondering, man, why not Comic-Con? Because Doctor
I don't know.
Fate,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't know why. They never asked me to go there.
It'd be interesting. Well, now that they are doing, well, this is more in Marvel, but you never know if DC will do something like this. They did it with the Batman right now on the movie The Flash. If they were to mishmash these multiverses, or you know, it would be so nice to get to see you.
Sure.
again.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like, will
That'd be
you-
good, yeah.
If you receive the call,
Oh,
you say yes.
Of course. In a heartbeat.
That would be fun.
For sure. Yeah. I had fun doing that part. That was a good part.
That would
Yeah.
be good. That would be good.
Yeah. But
I remember now that you were also talking about how it was to see Amadeus. That was the first time that I thought about becoming an actor. I went to see a play, and it was an Agatha Christie. But I had never seen a play before. I was probably 14, and I didn't know what to expect. I kind of didn't want to go. But my mom forced me, and I was like, sure, whatever. Boom! Wow, this is just like so many things happening. All the characters were involved, and this was a production of a university. Like, they were just students,
yeah.
but the script was so good. The time,
Funny, huh?
what they were doing was so good that was the day that I left the place, and I was like, what if maybe? And I never thought again about it, because in my school we didn't have drama, we had dancing, right?
Oh.
So I didn't think much about it till I came here. I took the part-time class with Julie,
Yeah.
and then they told me, just sign in, do the full program. And then I didn't
It was a
know.
sales pitch.
Yeah, it was a sales pitch.
He bought it.
I bought it.
I bought it, and I didn't.
And now he has no work.
and I don't have no. But I didn't know what the classes were. I remember the first day that I got there, and I see these people, and a lot of them had already a background, like doing drama at high school and shenanigans. They were like, "Oh yeah, did you see that on third term we have this class and we're gonna do this?" And I was like, I have no idea. Just showing here, I didn't have any idea that who was gonna be my teachers. Like,
Pretty intense, huh?
that's very weird, but it's a lovely job, and the craft is just amazing.
It's fun. It's a fun job. I mean, I've always found that it's a really it's a fun job to learn about life as you go along. If you do the research and do those kind of things and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if where I'm from I'd have ever delved into the things I've learned. Like, I don't think I would have got into studies of Buddhism or Stoicism or different kind of philosophies or psychologies. I wouldn't have probably read so much about the brain. I wouldn't have done any of those things had it not been for being an actor, because you read parts, you research the stuff,
Yeah,
right?
because it's like more
It's so interesting.
diversified.
It's so much
the
fun.
more parts and scripts, the diversified scripts you get, the more you want to explore, right?
Sure.
'Cause, like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But again, the business now is getting so expanded and so big and so big and so expanded. And it's interesting. The business has changed so much since I started. I mean, when I started, they were still doing through the thing. There was like, you didn't have playback yet. We never had playback.
you couldn't see what you did. You were
No,
just like, okay,
it was dailies, man. You're waiting for dailies. You didn't know. You were just kind of going winging it. There was none of that stuff. It was just, I've watched one thing even in my short time as an actor, my 43 years so far, or 45 or whatever it is, I've watched so many changes. Yeah. I mean, when you go back and you watch stuff, like I go back and I watch stuff from the 30s or the 40s or 50s, I think, wow, it's so archaic. But time moved pretty slowly over that time. It moved like this. It's moved like that. Right. It's like the shit that has changed in that little time, going from no playback, from the director coming in with his little thing going, okay, looking at the scene, doing that kind of stuff, right? They didn't have green screen when I started. Yeah. And just the types of green screen I've played over the kind of things, from green screen to mocap. Right. Like when we did Tron.
Yeah.
Right? And I did some stuff. It's just mind-boggling, the stuff and how it's
the
changed.
suit in the Tron, was that real or was that CGI too? The suit that you...
the suit's real.
Oh, it's real.
And my haircut was real and all that stuff.
With the LED lights and everything.
The only thing that was mocap for that was when on the motorcycle going through the thing. Yeah. Right, yeah, that kind of thing.
Final Destination, it was like that's green screen.
When you were hung on the hook.
Yeah. No, I did that. No. yeah, green screen. For sure, yeah. But it was a lot of fun, right? So, and I did some really crazy stuff with, sort of like, I don't actually know how to explain it. It's like 5G, like about 400 cameras about this big, all around. And they film you all at the same time. So what you do is it's like mocap, but it's not. It's like they're actually filming you. So you do makeup and everything. They don't change it after. They put you in the situation. And they can take that creation that they've made of you and put you anywhere. Yeah, they put you on the head of a pin. They can put you anywhere. Yeah. And it was amazing. It was crazy that thing.
So like when we Google Brent Stait right now. So
get an old gray-haired guy in the corner. Gandalf in the corner. No, I'm just kidding.
So Brent Stait is still known for Andromeda and
they always say that
Stargate
stuff.
And Smallville. But like, what do you think is your best work? Like maybe it's people don't know about it, but like you're like, oh, I love it. I nailed it. Right. I mean, you nailed every single work you did, but like I
liked Andromeda. My career has been so kind of. I've never been a big star. I've been a minor star. And I've never really cared about being a star. I like to work. I sometimes would like to be doing more parts than I was getting. Right. But I've had some really good parts. I did some westerns that I thought were really good characters. I worked with Bill Pullman on The Virginian. It was a fun part. I did a thing called Gunfighter's Moon with Lance Henriksen, which I really liked. But yeah, I just... you
just went with it, you just worked.
That's all I've done.
Yeah, you just worked.
I was never... I love doing the acting, but I never really created anything of my own. I've written now. I'm going to write some more stuff. I got some stuff I'm going to write now.
You told me you wrote a movie. You have a movie.
Yeah, I did.
Is that coming along?
I had a lot of people interested in doing it, but now it's very controversial because of the subject matter and because of the public policy, because of, the world the way it is.
The LGBT?
You're not allowed, no, it's not one of those. It's some other thing like that. But it's like you're not allowed to have a voice unless you're... Sure. But it's so weird because it's my life. Right. But being who I am, I'm not allowed to say I can't comment on that part of my life. It's like I'm not allowed to have it. I don't know why. but because I'm not of the right ilk. I don't know. I don't want to go down that road, right? It doesn't. None of that shit interests me.
Right.
I mean, I got another 25 maybe good years on the planet if I take care of myself. I'm not worried about all this foolishness that they're doing. I mean, people are foolish. They got these ideas in their head. I don't know where they're going with it.
Right.
You know.
It's just gonna get worse in 25 years, I'm sure.
No.
There's two things in life. You're born and you die.
Sure.
And everything else along there is just a journey.
Sure.
If you want to live in fear and nastiness and hatred and do all that, knock your socks off. I don't think your life is going to be very happy. You're not going to have a very good life, are you? I mean, a thing too, and if you think that you got to be famous and rich to have a good life, you're fooling yourself. It doesn't mean you can't be an actor without being Brad Pitt. God knows I love Brad Pitt. I love his stuff.
Well, I hope
but
he's
Brad
watching
Pitt's a
that.
big star. Not every actor in the world is a big star.
Yeah.
There's lots of actors around doing their stuff and they're great. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And you can have a good life and a good career without being, you know, George Clooney. I mean, they're great. I love them, but you know, I like all the other actors who are doing their stuff too.
Yeah, sometimes you like doing
Like I watch stuff too, and you know, maybe it's because I'll watch a scene. I'll go, man, that actor's so good. Nobody's going to remember him. They're just going to think he's the guy.
Oh yeah.
And that's the guy.
Sure.
Those guys make everybody else good too. So everybody makes everybody else good. You know. Sure, you're going to have your, you know, Angelina Jolie's. You're going to have your Brad Pitt. I love Angelina Jolie. I love those people, you know. I like my stars.
Yeah.
You know?
What's that?
I always like the one-liners. When I'm watching any movie or
Yeah.
show, whatever, I pay a lot of attention on the one-liner guys, girls.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're there for a reason. No? Like, you did an audition to have one line. And you're supposed to be the best one that did that one line, you know? So I want to see.
Sure. Yeah.
Are you actually shining on that one line or not? And
Yeah.
sometimes it is.
No,
It's
but
good.
like,
it makes the story richer.
it's
somehow,
true. It's
you
like
know?
so. There's this actor in India called Nawazuddin Siddiqui.
Of
He's
course.
been struggling.
Friend of mine.
He's been struggling in the industry for like last 30 years.
Yeah.
And after like 30 years, he finally made it. And
You told me about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So finally he made it. Now he's getting A-list movies and he's getting Netflix originals and everything, right?
Yeah.
But like when you go back like 20 years back, and you see he had one liner in one movie.
Sure.
But now that movie is using his face as a cover.
Oh, they do that all the time.
You know?
I did this movie. I did a TV show with a couple guys. There was, I'm not going to mention names and stuff, but anyway, I'm doing this TV show. So I'm like, third guy, I'm like the guest star or whatever, me and another guy, and there's a guy who's like another guest star, but down the road, right? Then he goes off, this guy, as he's going along, and he does a big feature film. And he gets quite a blow up about it. Next thing you know, that guy on the bottom, his face is on the billboard.
They do that a lot,
right?
yeah.
Welcome to Hollywood, right? Of course, what's going to sell a movie? The thing about movies is that they're selling movies, right?
Yeah, it's a business, yeah.
Of course it is. It's entertainment.
And it's more like they're selling faces now.
Yeah.
They're selling faces.
Oh, yeah, it's big that way, I think.
It's like
anyway.
it can be a shitty movie, but you'll know that after you watch it.
Yeah.
Because you know it's the face.
Have you seen the
you're
movie?
going it for.
Have you seen the movie Babylon?
No.
What is it?
No? You haven't seen it?
What is it?
Babylon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much.
I
about
watched,
that.
yeah. That's,
Pretty much
yeah.
about that. It's just like it started like talking about how there's the movies that how do they call these movies, like the silent movies?
Yeah, silent movies.
Silent movies?
Margot Robbie and
Margot
Sean
Robbie.
and
No, not Sean Penn. It's
not Sean Ben.
Pete.
Just Brad Pitt.
And then there's this Mexican guy, Diego Calva, which is also part of the top 3, I guess. But they are showing that, so they are like taking as big stars because they are pretty looking, and then later on they get involved into the movies that are like with dialogue now. But
Talkies.
talkies, and then they are kind of like fucking up because they don't have the voice for talkies,
Yeah.
right? So it's like,
can't talk like that if you're going to do the talkies, right? So, I had a guy who was, when I went to Banff School of Fine Arts, and I took fencing, and he was a wonderful fencer. And he was a tap dancer. Brilliant. Like Fred Astaire good. And him and Fred Astaire and a couple other guys were the big guys, dancers. But he talked.
Stuttered.
So he couldn't make it in the movies. Because they came around, he couldn't talk.
He can be typecasted, but that's pretty.
He was
pretty rare.
he was Errol Flynn's stand-in for years. Yeah, it's an old guy.
I mean, we're getting near the time because we gotta drop Brent off
Yeah.
here.
Yes, we have.
So,
You
so,
have.
any questions? Any last questions? I would
Last
say,
questions?
like in this, I was talking about a little bit of dating, right? So, I mean, you have a pretty good relationship with your wife,
Oh yeah, we've been
right?
together
How many
20 some
years
years.
has it been?
Kill me, I don't remember exactly, but 20,
20 years, right?
20 plus.
And like, so being in the industry, when we see like the most actors these days, they're like 5 divorces and ready for the 6th marriage, you know? So like,
Yeah.
so tell me about like,
I mean, I understand why. I guess
what is the secret basically? You know, I don't know how to shape.
I get actors who are like, there's a big difference between being just an actor and a celebrity. And most of the guys you're talking about are celebrities.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it must be hard to have a relationship as a celebrity, and a lot of them are young.
They're
Like,
young,
I was never really into a relationship until I was in my 40s. I didn't do 30, 20. I had lots of relationships in my 20s and 30s, like lots, because I knew I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I might be somewhere else. I might be in Chicago. I might be there. I'm not sticking around. I never had that. But I never pretended to have that. I didn't get married at 20, 25, 30, 35. I never even got a serious relationship till I was in my 40s. Because I had a couple, but not really. Because I knew I wasn't sticking around. You know, I mean, why don't you just be honest and go, I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Or, hey, this is fun for now. And then, unless you want to have kids or something, I didn't want kids. Yeah. I knew I didn't want children. I never wanted children.
You knew what you wanted, basically, you know?
Well, I kind of was digging it. I knew what I didn't want.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go, oh, geez, now I'm in a relationship. I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I kids I didn't really set out to have. I mean, if you're going to sit out and have kids, that's great. Fantastic. I love kids. You know, my brothers I have an uncle 10 times over, and I love them. But not for me, not my lifestyle, right?
You said you kind of realized about
your
that.
lifestyle changes over the course of your life.
Right. You said you realized about that when you were a kid, but like, did you ever went to like, I don't know, have a therapy session where you like took all of that out that like you grew up with?
I don't think Brent ever went to therapist, right?
You never?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to a few, yeah.
So did you ever like got to the origins of that and being like, oh, okay, this is why I don't want to have kids. Cool. Moving on.
Yeah, maybe because of the way I was programmed as a young child. I mean, I had some abuse in my life as a child, and I watched my mom and dad fight a lot, and I saw my mom be mentally abused and emotionally abused, and I watched that a lot, and I was on the end of that, and I didn't like it. I mean, who likes it? Who wants to get kicked or punched or slapped or see? But it wasn't. Those are not the horrible things. I don't know. Physical things you kind of bounce back from. It's the mental things that really hurt you. Sure. And I think that's the mental things that create and they're the things that mold your mind. They're the things that make you think the way you think. They're the things that cause your anxiety. They're the things that cause your fears. Those are the things. And of course, I would definitely, you are who you are because of your childhood. I mean, a lot of the times, unless you're so wise that you can reflect on that, and you do that as you're older. Maybe therapists help you. I think therapy is good. Because what I went through with Andromeda, I went through a lot of therapists. I did a lot of stuff. And what I realized is that you got to change the way you think. Right? People go to therapies. I think a lot of people go to therapists and say, fix me. Yeah. You can't. You got to go to a therapist and say, give me some modalities that can help me and I'll fix myself. And then that's an ongoing event. Mm-hmm. That never ends. That's not like, process. Oh, I did a thing. Yeah, no, there's a process.
I mean, you went to therapy.
I have it today. I'm constantly fighting anxiety and those kind of things and all that stuff and those kind of things. It's all, it's the first 6-10 years of your life that form your brain.
But you've had such a long journey, and like right now, I would say that's why I said like I don't think Brent has been to therapy before. That's because now that I see him as a person, I would say like if I want therapy, I would come to you.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, right? I've been to therapy, and that therapy helped me. But more what's helped me is what is trying to find out who you are and studying your own life and looking at what your life is. You're going to have those things. Sure. How do you handle it? I didn't handle Andromeda all that well because I thought I had to suck it up and tough it out and not say anything and not be a bad guy and be a good boy and do everything right. And I crashed and burned, and now I don't do that anymore. But I learned from that. What is life but a series of events that you learn from, and then you become, and then you end up in a pot, right?
Yeah.
That's it. You end up in a grave. You end up in they either burn you or bury you. That's one of the two, right? And you know what? It's not morbid. It's the way it is. Unless they come up with some kind of drug that goes, you're going to get immortality, and that would be a nightmare. Could you imagine? Nightmare? Holy Christ, it's hard enough to deal with this one. But it is also fun in a weird way to deal with those things, right? I mean, that's life. That's what life is.
Basically, health
Life is
is number one. Health.
I would say the most important thing in my life is being healthy.
Healthy. Yeah.
Sure, because you can't do any of the stuff you want to do if you're not healthy. And I don't understand. Yeah, but I understand why people do what they do. I understand why the obesity is rampant in this country. I understand why mental illness is like crashing through the roof. I have mental illness. I wouldn't say I have mental illness. I've been mentally ill. Right. I've been a drug addict. But I'm not now. But they weren't short-lived things that I lived through. I would, if somebody said, "Hey, Brent, would you go back and not be a drug addict?" I would say no.
Because that made you who you are.
Yeah.
You learned from that. Yeah.
It's a part of who I am. It's not all of who I am. It was an event in my life and a time. I don't regret any of it. I made a lot of mistakes.
That's what made you who you are today.
Yeah.
It's all experience. Are you the experience or are you the experiencer?
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? You're not having an experience. You are experiencing.
Yeah.
Everything that happens, everything that's experienced is over. That's why it drives me crazy. People living in the past all the time. Like, it's hard sometimes to pull yourself out of that because you identify with that. I would say that if anybody listened to this would actually want to hear what I had to say.
Please do. Please do.
I would just say, be aware if you're becoming a victim and try to stop it.
Oh, fuck, that's good.
That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, poor me, my dad, me. And sometimes in our society, we'll cultivate that. And that's the worst thing I think you can do to a person. Mm-hmm. And I think they do too much of that in our society. And like I was lucky enough, I had friends of mine. I had a friend of mine said, why you act like a victim? Why are you being a victim? Yeah. I say, what? That's insulting to me. I go, wait. He said, you know what? You feel sorry for yourself. And I was like, you're right, I do. I got to stop that. That's not helping me. That's the best advice I ever got, right? Call you on your shit. And then I made the effort. I made the effort to go, I still fight with it, or those kind of things. People like to stroke and say, you were abused or you had this thing bad. And if you want attention and you want love, you'll cater to that.
Is this what?
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Is this what
our
fathers meant when they said be a man?
Oh.
Yeah, I think so, but indirectly.
Indirectly.
A kind of a weird way of saying it.
Sure.
Yeah. They don't. You got to be a little more specific than that. It's like me giving you act better. It's like that doesn't help me. Be a little more specific. How can I be a better man? Oh, I could treat people better. I could be kinder. I could be sympathetic. I could be aware of myself when I'm angry and going off and cut it back.
Yeah.
Like anger in our society is insane. And I grew up in an angry environment. I grew up with a bunch of rednecks in an angry environment, right? And anger was the thing you always went to. And now I look around, it's the worst nonsensical thing you could do. Really. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Unless you want to lift your car off of somebody who's underneath it, and anger gives you a boost, good. Use it for that 10 seconds and let it go. Easier said than done.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
A lot of our mental things that we have, easier said than done. And the thing is, I think, if you have a problem with some mental capacity, you get too angry or you're too sad all the time, you're this all the time, it doesn't end tomorrow. You can't read a book and they say, oh, do this, no, that. You got to keep doing it until you kind of get a grasp on it.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can go, okay, I kind of got a grasp. It's going to come again, but it's going to be this much time it's going to bug me. As opposed to that much time.
That much time.
Right? Or all the time. Right? They say, let it go. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Let it go. Yeah, you let it go, but it's going to come back right away. And then the more you let it go, the less it comes back. But it will come back. It will always come back. It's
But
just
it's like
how for how long?
it's either like you can let it affect you, or you can use it as a substitute for a scene.
Sure. Or you can use
You're
it.
gonna use it at some point.
You can use
Yeah.
it. Yeah. You could. I think awareness is a big thing.
Yeah,
Be aware.
100%.
And I think that's a great thing that being an actor gives you.
You
If
know
you
what
study
do,
acting,
you pay attention to you.
well, you become aware.
Yeah.
You become aware of yourself. You become aware of the other person. You become aware of what's going on around you. You become aware of your environment because you're being taught that. And then you take that knowledge, that teaching, and you go out and you practice it. It's not like you forget it. It's in everything. It overflows into your life. Makes you more aware as a human being.
Yeah.
Or hopefully it should. You know, that's a better than being, I don't know, famous, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. There's too many people come. They just want to be
They
famous.
just want money and fame.
Yeah, I think if you're a good actor, you'll get a certain amount of fame if that's what you want. Anyway.
I mean, you will be recognized
Yeah.
if you're doing
Sure.
good work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta focus on your thing, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
at some point it's gonna.
It's
come
not
along.
like, if I'm
Don't
doing
make it
this, how
your
many people
goal.
are...
Sure.
But if it happens, good. Take it. If you want it, if that's what you want, take it.
It's not like, I'm doing this and I'm like, how many people are watching me,
I mean,
Yeah.
No, I'm just doing my thing. You want to watch, it's up to you. But like,
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Well, I think that's the key. I think that's the key for anything. Love what you're doing, and especially in this world that we're living in, it's getting. It's so big. It's so big that it's made everything so small. Have you noticed this?
yes.
Yeah.
That we cover in the globe, and everything's like everybody's in your face. It's this
Yeah,
big.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, when you can go online and you'll be a big hit for this long.
Yeah.
But if that's it, if that's all you're looking for, then your life's gonna be that long. What do you do after? But if you go, I like making hand puppets, and I make a ton of money, but I live, and you make hand puppets, great, and you keep making hand puppets, great. I'm happy for you, excellent. You like being an actor, and you like doing it, and you go, okay, I did a big part this week, and I did a small part that week, and I did this, and great. And if somebody says, oh, you're nothing because you're not a big star, and you should quit acting, then you're just going to be the butt of everybody else's what they think you should be.
Should be.
You know what I mean? Be what you want to be. Do what you want to do. If you love being an actor, be an actor.
Well, that's why I started a podcast. We started a podcast.
Right?
It is. And this has been great, Brent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So
You got me talking.
Talk to you, man.
Yeah, maybe we can do another episode someday. Maybe one day.
Sure.
If it's still running, if we're still getting
Yeah.
views.
Well, I hope it goes well for you guys. I really do. Yeah.
So thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for having me. It's fun.
Maybe just the last 3 books that you would recommend. Just out of nowhere.
First off, Robert Sapolsky, I would recommend Determined or Behave. I think it's called Determined. Behavior is another one of his that's really good. Wendy Suzuki, Anxiety. It's a wonderful book. William Irving, his book on Stoicism. What's it called? Can't remember the title.
That's okay.
But he's got 2 or 3 of them. They're all good. They're all great. Yeah.
You have 3 books that you want to talk about?
Well, I've never read. I've never read a book.
You have not. That's not true.
No, I've never read a book in my life. I've read this one book. I don't know the author. The name is The Holes.
Okay.
The Holes. We got it in middle school. It's like a big novel. It's really interesting because it's about a guy, about a family who was like really rich in the 80s, and they go broke. And the son of that family, the eldest son, he commits a crime and he goes to the jail. And what happens? The jailer, he makes them dig holes. It's the jail is middle of a desert, and the jailer, the punishment of the victims and everyone there, right? It's to dig holes every day.
Right.
But the jailer, he knows that there was this old family in the vintage times.
Buried some treasure there?
Yes, that is buried as treasure, right?
So he's got them working for him.
Yeah, so
Bastard.
what happens, but the families whose treasure it was that same family, the guy.
Oh!
So you know what? So
Little twist there.
Yeah, and then when he digs in and
He
gets
finds it.
He finds it, and his grandfather's name is on the chest.
Oh.
And he can legally,
Claim it.
Yeah, claim it. So the jailer is like, I'm going to take it, but then they file the case and everything. And then when they see, it's Stanley Yellnuts. So Stanley and Yellnuts is just the reverse of Stanley.
Oh,
Stanley Yelnuts.
Stanley. Or Yelnuts.
Yelnuts, you know. So it was like that, and then they just go rich. That's it. That was the end of the story. But it was a really interesting story.
That's funny.
But after that,
And it's good.
but after that, I didn't actually get into reading. But whenever someone suggests me, I do like audiobooks.
Yeah, audiobooks are good.
Audiobooks. I do that.
Kinda.
So when I'm
think I
working
got
out,
one
just
going
put
on right now.
something,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one going on right now, I think.
You got which one you got going on?
Let's see.
Did you hear
Oh, the Stoic Challenge I got going on by William B. Irving, a Stoic Challenge it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of books I read. I'm always constantly reading.
That's really good.
I got
I love to read.
the green lights.
Just wish I could remember it.
They got one the green lights from Matthew McConaughey.
I read that.
Such a good book.
It's good, isn't it? He builds a little tree house and the stuff, and
Does it have pictures in it?
he's got.
I don't know. Well, that one I got in an audiobook, man. But
See, for me,
I like this book, McConaughey's book.
get an audiobook.
No, I'll get an audiobook. Yeah, that's why I asked for the books because I
There you
want
go.
I want more stuff to do. You know.
Yeah, you did
Sapolsky's
that.
great,
Yeah,
but-
eh?
Yeah, I do, man.
We're just now doubling.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, do whatever you do.
Yeah.
Great.
Just saw Brent Stait.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, I'm going to go to the washroom.